All right, police officials and the public, we know this, have been praising the officer who confronted and arrested the Toronto van attack suspect. This is the video seen around the world. Moments earlier, we know that suspect drove that van into multiple pedestrians, killing 10 people. The officer, says Constable Ken Lamb, arrested him without firing a single shot. The president of Toronto's police union called the officer's actions a, quote, shining moment in an otherwise horrific day. Mark Mendelson is a former Toronto police detective. He is with us in studio this morning. This has been described as textbook procedure. I want to run through the video with you, Mark, and what is the textbook training that we're talking about that you see that was followed through?
Well, there really is no textbook training. I mean, there is training. You're trying to get people to develop muscle memory. Remembering the key things are diffusing the situation as best you can, verbal communication, trying to de-escalate the situation. But every situation is different, so there's no PowerPoint presentation that walks you through one of these situations. This is the textbook as it should be done.
I think what was amazing to a lot of people is, first of all, he doesn't know what he's approaching, right? He doesn't know what's in the van. He doesn't know what's coming at him with the suspect.
And he also doesn't know what's happened on the street. He has some information from the dispatchers that there are people hurt, but he doesn't know all the details as we know them now. So he's not sure what he's walking up to here. But he's, the man's got something in his hand and it's black, and he's made the distinction that it's not a firearm. And he's taken a few steps to really diffuse the situation. One of the first things that he does is develops that verbal communication. But if you notice, he reaches into the car and turns the siren off.
And what's the purpose of that?
Well, the siren is blaring, and it heightens everything, so the temperature is rising. And you've got somebody who's speaking to you. He's saying, I got a gun in my pocket, I got a gun in my pocket, shoot me in the head. You know there's a problem. You don't see a barrel on that cell phone, so
right.
He's making a conscious decision. It's not a gun, but that siren is noisy and it's intimidating. So the officer actually puts his gun down by his side, reaches into his vehicle and turns the siren off, which some would say is a very dangerous thing to do because now you're exposing yourself.
Sure.
But he did it and he turns it off, and that lowers it a little bit. That just lowers the tension.
The other moment, and I know American media picked up on this a lot, was the fact that he holstered his gun and took out a baton.
Yeah. Once he determined that it wasn't a firearm, and when the suspect said, I got a gun in my back pocket, his response is, I don't care. All right? Because he's doing that motion, which is really a shooting motion. And by putting your gun away and taking out your expandable baton, you lower the temperature again. You lower it, and you notice that he starts to comply and starts to back up.
That's the moment when he backs up and then drops whatever.
And the baton is there. And this is a great example of what that verbal communication and lowering the temperature does to diffuse a situation. Unfortunately, they're not all like this. Some of them are they're in hallways in apartment buildings. They're in small rooms. It's, each situation is different. But in this case, everything worked out perfect. This officer is the poster child for restraint.
I imagine this is something that will be shown in police colleges going forward as an ideal way to de-escalate a situation?
It will be shown, guaranteed, as how everything works out perfectly if you follow all the steps. But again, not every situation is the same. Not every suspect is the same either. This guy was compliant. Many aren't. But it's important to always remember that these situations happen in a city like Toronto hundreds of times a year, and 99.7% of the time it works out with a good resolution. The other times it doesn't. It's good to see every once in a while how perfectly it can work out.
Thanks for coming and walking through the video with us this morning.
You're welcome, Emery.